The podcast you're about to hear involves true stories, which may contain graphic content that is not suitable for children. Listener's discretion is advised. This is Esoteric Oddities.
And we're back.
Hey guys, welcome back. Little technical difficulties.
Right. Okay.
Welcome back to Esoteric Oddities. We are here with Maizie.
It's me.
If you didn't listen to the previous episode, which you should, get your little gilly gills on there.
Hey.
Her dad is the
founder.
I want to say inventor.
Love that.
Founder.
It's just a synonym at the end of the day.
Weird New Jersey.
Co-founder.
Of Weird New Jersey, which is a publication, and also like weird, pretty much anything. It's like a
weird franchise. It's a franchise of publications, books, magazines.
Love that.
Yeah, please refer to the first episode that we did last week.
And it's basically all the weird shit that has happened in
around the country.
Yeah, around the country is just like collected in this book.
It's compiled for you. You don't have to
Book
do
and
any
magazine.
searching.
Right. It's all
It's
right
right there for you.
Spoon fed to you. And there's a lot of good, weird shit in it. So if you like this podcast, make sure you go check it out. Before we get started, I just want to thank our Patreon supporters at patreon.com/esotericoddities. If you would like a bonus episode every other week, head on over there for $5 or more. You can hear about weird shit. Why are you staring at the back door behind me? It's kind of creeping me out. Is it the cat on top of the keg?
Look at her.
What?
This is what she does.
What
She
are you
stares
doing?
at the door.
She's literally just
My
she's
cat
not
is
moving.
doing that.
She has her head
Freaking me
down.
out, Sarah. You don't need to do this.
She does this, or she'll stare at the window where I can't see anything. Would it be helpful if I turn the light on behind me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I just turn the light up.
Yeah, what was that supposed to do?
I don't know.
She just wants to get outside.
No, I'm not letting my cat outside. I already
She's
have. I
literally
already
not
lost
moving at
one
all.
cat
She-
to running outside.
Ooh.
Yeah. I
So
did.
she you don't let her outside ever?
No.
Is she
I
an
don't-
outside cat or indoor?
Indoor.
Outdoor?
Strictly.
She's
Strictly?
strictly.
But is she meant to be outdoor?
She was from
it doesn't
outside.
matter.
It doesn't matter. I don't really know
I
how cats operate.
literally. I have like PTSD from because I lost my first cat.
But I'm just like wondering, like, is it like an instinctual thing in her that's like, I need to go outside?
No, she doesn't like the outside. But I don't even like when Sarah's cat goes outside. I yell at her.
Yeah.
If she
I always let
Snapchats a
Charlie
picture
on
of
the
her
balcony.
cat.
On the balcony.
No, I don't like it. No, but she never begs to go outside. There's probably just a ghost outside the door. It's fine. But in our last episode, we talked about some very interesting cults. And we are kind of continuing on with some cult talk.
Cult talk.
So we got Maisie's got a story. Sarah's got a story. So let's get into it.
All right, so I'm going to talk to you about Father Divine and
The Divine Lorraine, right?
the Divine Lorraine.
So the Divine
that.
Lorraine, for those of y'all who are not from Philly or the East Coast or know what we're talking about, is a hotel that was actually closed for a really fucking long time, and I don't know why.
It's an iconic Philly landmark.
I don't
sure
think
is.
they could knock it down, right?
I'm going to get into that.
Oh,
baby.
baby.
I love that.
I'm so
Jump
ready for that.
in.
Baby.
But
I'm
it
gonna get into
became,
that.
I don't know what you're going to say, so I'm trying not to ruin anything, but it became like a canvas for graffiti artists, which
It was an urban exploration hotspot.
it was,
That's what it's called nowadays. Urban exploration.
I love that.
It was kind of sad because it's a really beautiful
It's
building.
beautiful.
And it was just spray painted with shitty art.
Well, so what's crazy? Yeah, I will get into all of that, but like,
And now
this-
it's an apartment building.
everybody in Philadelphia, everybody knows what the Divine Lorraine is, but
Right.
nobody knows the twisted sort of
I am
weird ass shit that happened behind those walls. And I'm not talking about like, you know, crazy murders. Like, I'm not going to talk about like, you know, American Horror Story hotel. Like, it's not like that. But there was a cult that owned that property for a decent amount of time.
When I say I'm damper than a hamper,
I know.
it's not only because we had to turn the AC off because of noise, but
Yeah,
like
it's hot in here.
truly. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so let's get into it. So the infamous Divine Lorraine in Philadelphia, which sits on the corner of Broad and Fairmount, was erected in 1894. And it was meant to cater to the wealthy citizens of the city. These apartments had in-house staff, electricity in each apartment, and none of the apartments had kitchens, because why would you need a kitchen if there's a centralized kitchen that would deliver meals to you.
Okay,
that.
wait.
As
So,
a-
service.
so originally it wasn't a hotel, it was like an apartment
It
complex?
was an apartment complex.
Okay, I guess that makes sense because it's literally only called the Divine Lorraine. I guess I just kind of assumed the
It was a
hotel
hotel.
part.
Now, at the time in 1894,
It was,
different name.
What was it?
okay.
I don't know what it originally was called, but it was, the architect was Willis Gaylord Hale.
Gaylord.
Now, this was one of the first, this is why it's such an iconic building. This was one of the first high rises in the entire city.
Oh, wow.
And-
And it's not even that high. It's
Literally.
like
Well,
13
did you
floors.
know, fun fact, for
William Penn.
William Penn, there was a law that no building could be higher than William Penn.
People don't know what that means.
City Hall. City Hall is,
Our city hall has a statue of William Penn on the top.
I would say that's like 10 stories high.
It's not that high.
It's
at
not
all.
even that high.
There's buildings now that are taller than it, yeah.
No, because
Yes. Sarah.
Sarah, we work in a building that's 14 stories high.
Yeah, Commerce is taller than that.
Sarah, we lived across the street from it and you were on the 16th floor.
I sure was.
Yeah,
guys
that's
went
that's how we
lived on
we
Broad and
met.
Chestnut.
I lived on
Oh
the
shit!
I lived on the
wanted to
third.
hear about that later, but
Rent was like
I lived on the third. You lived on the 16th.
nine.
oh, I
what
thought
was
you guys
it?
were roommates.
9,000 a month.
We were
Jesus
roommates.
Fucking Christ!
We were roommates like 4 years later.
Yeah,
This was in like 2011.
really
So-
kicked off our friendship.
Anyway.
Willis Gaylord Hale, famous architect, he erected a lot of the city's first high-rise buildings. Basically, World War II came and like post-modernization and whatnot, so a lot of his buildings, very unique in detail, were kind of just, demolished. So this is one of the only buildings that he was an architect of that is still remains. So it is like one of the oldest buildings in Philadelphia.
And it's still intact.
And it's still intact. Well, let's get into the weird shit.
I'm here for the weird
love
shit.
weird
Give it to me. Serve it cold. Serve it hot.
In 1948, Father Divine purchased the building to house the members of his Universal Peace Mission movement. Father Divine was the man responsible for the name Divine Lorraine. Now,
Okay, are we getting a history on this Father Divine? Is he a priest?
I'm getting into that now.
Okay.
So basically, I know, he also erected another similar place, or he probably bought another similar place in Newark, New Jersey, which is right where I live.
Okay.
So he had the Divine Lorraine in Philadelphia, and then another place in Newark, New Jersey, which is a city, but I don't remember. I think it was called the Divine Escobar, but
Is it still there?
I think it's still there. It's under a different name. Don't quote me
Clearly
on
not
any
as
of that.
important as this one.
So, unlike other movements, the Universal Peace Movement was inclusive of all sexes, religions, and races of the time. Therefore, the Divine Lorraine became one of the country's first racially integrated hotels. The upstairs auditorium soon became a place of worship, and the central kitchen was open to feed the needy for 25 cents a meal. His legacy is one of debate about whether he was more of a do-gooder for the public or the first public cult leader in the nation. So let's acknowledge that Divine Lorraine played a part in the civil rights movement and is now under ownership of EB Realty Management and condominiums.
That's very recent though, correct?
Yeah, very
Yeah,
recent,
now
very
it's
recent.
apartments.
So, really quick, when it was sitting there vacant, for those who don't know it, they just renovated it maybe 2 years ago
Yeah.
at max. But before that, when it was sitting there empty, who was it owned by?
Nobody, I
state?
don't think.
I'm gonna get into that later on, which is like that's the craziest part of the story. His story as a cult leader is not too much cult like, but like that anecdote about how they owned the Divine Lorraine and the other place in Newark, New Jersey gets a little bit
Murky.
murky.
Oh,
So
I love murky.
So in 1948, he purchased the place. He was housing. It was kind of like a hotel for all of his followers.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to give you a little bit of information on him.
I
He was
wish
a
you would.
strange, influential, cult-like figure, Father Divine, during the Great Depression. This charismatic preacher worked diligently towards finding jobs for his followers while promoting his unique form of Christianity. He was hailed by many as the second coming of the Messiah. At his peak, he had tens of thousands of followers across the country. Originating in Harlem, he moved to and operated out of a small house in Sayville, New York, where much of the controversy began. Located in an all-white neighborhood in 1919, this home was bought by Father Divine from a resident who advertised that he would only sell his home to a quote-unquote colored because he hated his neighbors and wanted to make them feel uncomfortable.
Oh, what the fuck?
So how about that?
Okay.
That was
So
quick.
Father Divine quickly came in because he actually had a major role in desegregation.
Amazing.
His group was all about desegregation.
Okay,
so it's like, that's why there's so much controversy, because it was a cult, but at the end of the day, they were all about desegregation.
Like doing
doing
stuff.
good.
I'll be the judge of it at the end of this.
I mean, he really didn't like kill anybody. Like, it wasn't like that kind of cult, you know,
Right.
poison people. Just give me all your money. Let me have sex with your women, and
Love that.
let me change your name.
Chris
So
Brown.
as I was saying in the last podcast, he was just like any other cult. It was like, I'm going to brainwash you, manipulate you. You're going to give me everything you're worth, abandon your past life, and bada bing, bada boom, you're mine now, and you're going to make money off of me.
Yeah, and you're stuck.
You're stuck there. So basically, it was just like this outward form of Christianity. We'll leave it at that.
Okay.
But so he moved into this house in Sayville, New York, and many of his Black followers followed him there, and that really irked this lily white community. Because keep in mind, this was
19...
so this was before 1948. 1948 is when he purchased the Divine Lorraine.
Wow.
This is before that. So
I didn't
this
know it
is
was that
way
old.
before
Right.
desegregation. So every Sunday, masses of people would arrive to the house to listen to his sermons, accompanied by large outdoor barbecues. Even though this was an inclusive group that was adamant about desegregation, majority who attended were African American, which really pissed off the whites in the area.
Listen. What was that bitch's name? The barbecue Betty?
What?
The girl who called the cops on like on a black family who was literally having a barbecue. What was her name? Barbecue Becky or
I have
something?
no idea.
No, it was like
this
a couple
recent?
months ago.
Oh.
Yeah, it was real recent.
White people love to call the cops.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what happened. So basically, it was like his group was very inclusive of all races, genders, creeds, views, whatever, but they were like, all right.
Were
We're
they doing it because they were forward thinking, or were they doing it to piss off other people?
I don't really know. I don't know if he made it his group this way to attract more people. I don't know if he made this group this way because this is a totally different time. Like,
Right.
I'm trying to read this as in like when it happened, which is like 30s, 40s. You know what I mean? Like, but you know, I can't put myself in that mindset.
Right.
But so basically,
Barbecue Becky can.
the whites had a town hall to concoct a
Quite
scheme to get
interesting.
Father Divine taken down in 1931. So the town came together and we're like, we're not going to have all this riffraff.
Oh, in 1931.
1931.
Okay.
We're not going to have all this riffraff. And they had a town hall to concoct a scheme to have the police raid one of his barbecues. Because after the sermon, the Sunday sermon, where it was a majority of African Americans, he would have a barbecue.
Right.
And so the police came in and they were like, you're disturbing the peace and all that bullshit.
And they're just like, look, we're trying to have our corn on the cob.
Yeah, basically.
We're trying to have our potatoes.
And I don't know. I don't know if I think he moved into the neighborhood to start like an uproar.
Okay, so he may have been doing this to piss people
I
off.
think he did this to piss people off.
Sorry, that's my cat eating.
But you know, I don't really know.
Okay.
So Father Divine, along with 80 of his followers, were arrested. The bail of each follower was $5.
Oh.
Father Divine paid all 80 bails by handing the court a $500 bill, which I didn't even know that they made.
I was
then.
like, what?
Are there $500 bills now?
No.
No, definitely not. I've never seen one.
Just two.
I didn't
I've
know
never
they had
seen
them.
one either. I've
One-
never seen a $100 bill, and I know it exists.
Stop it.
And the court, embarrassingly, couldn't even make change.
Oh,
Love that. So you want
So how about
$5
that?
bail
How
each
about
from
that?
me, but your peasant ass can't even afford to break my $500 bill?
Exactly.
Literally me at like the Poppy store when they can't break my 20 and I get pissed. I'm like, fine, I'll buy the Takis, but do you got 5?
So he handed them this $500 bill to pay the 80 bails of his followers, but he refused to pay the bail for himself. And he insisted on going on trial. The drama of this trial was very intense, given that his followers believed that he was God himself.
Oh God.
So he had the money to bail himself out of jail and
But
did
he
it.
wanted to start
make
a
a
trial.
point.
Okay.
He
All right.
wanted to go on trial.
All right. So maybe he's not doing things to piss people off.
Honestly, I really don't know.
Okay.
Because that's why today there's such the debate, which was like, was he an influential religious leader or
A fucked up
cult
cult leader
leader.
who. Okay.
you know? So it's like I'm like trying to get all this information.
You
I'm
never
like,
know what's
Yeah.
a cult.
you don't. I mean, yeah, you really don't. Like Scientology cult. Who said that? Not
What?
me. I don't
That's
know.
the weirdest. My house is making noises.
That was a ghost. I didn't say that.
Ghosty. Ghosty
So,
George.
Of course he was, you know, stood before an entire white jury, of course.
God.
Probably
Racist,
still today.
racist jury, anti-cult jury. And he was sentenced to a year in jail and a $500 fine. But that wasn't the end of it, because 2 days after his sentencing, Justice Smith, the judge on his trial, a very healthy man, dropped dead of an unexpected heart attack.
Red
so
flag.
he was a witch.
So people raced to
warlock.
Father Divine's cell to get his opinion on, and his 5-word reply would set him in history as an iconic legend.
Can I guess what it was?
Guess, please guess.
Break up with that hoe. You will never stop me. It's 5.
All right, so the words were,
Suck my asshole.
and this was
That's 3. So you know how when you walk into a party and there's like a party flag, it says like
Yeah.
happy birthday. Sarah and I used to have a
Like a
fucking
suck
thing that
my
said
ass
suck
banner.
my ass on like banners.
where did you find that?
We
Did you
made
make
it?
I think we made it. We colored it in and everything. I literally went to the library. I was drunk.
the
I went to
Feely
the
library?
library. Yeah, I went to the library. I printed them out on like a Friday night. Sarah and I sat there, colored them in, watched Goosebumps, strung them on floss. I'm very handy. See these marks on my wall?
Crafty.
This
Those
is from
are from
Halloween.
Band-Aids.
These are from Band-Aids. I didn't have tape last Halloween.
Jesus.
You can see they're from Band-Aids.
Adhesive.
But so
Anyway, 5 words.
his words were, I hated to do it.
Wow. What?
He did it.
I hated to do it.
Wait.
And that was all. After that,
He's a warlock.
the rumors of his supernatural powers spread real quick, and
Wow.
he gained thousands of followers from it.
They're like, I want to manifest.
No, he didn't manifest that shit. He had someone on the inside, or he did it him. Damn. So
basically, he was in
How do you
jail. He was
stage a
sitting in a
heart
jail
attack?
cell
Okay, so
when it
he-
happened.
so
2 days
he
after
How do you
sentencing.
stage a heart attack?
So he didn't physically do it, but I'm pretty sure it was like a coincidence.
no. Was it a
I
He had
coincidence?
a
hated to
heart
do it.
attack. The guy had a heart attack.
That's so
I feel
scary.
like
I'm scared now.
there's chemical warfare out there, or like shit that you can get.
Oops.
I hated to do it.
33 days into his sentence, he was set free to go back on trial. This trial, however, never happened due to the fact that the racist and anti-cultist town was just like, I'm done with this shit. I don't really want to deal with it. Just go. We don't want this publicity anymore. Because this made Times Magazine, you know? So, like, this was very happening at the time. Because
Okay.
I didn't mention, he originated in Harlem during the Great Depression.
Oh.
But in the end, he was never viewed as a legit religious leader because of the racial bias of the time. And he was always labeled as a cult leader. In 1965, he passed away, and his wife, Mother Divine, continued his mission. A number of people today still abide by his teachings. As I was saying in the last podcast, not only do they take your money, but they usually take your past and they take your name
And your women.
and your women. It was a communal living situation. So all these people were living there. He was paying for all of them because it was, you know, all of their money. He was paying taxes on these properties. So when he passed away, the deed, since it was communal living, the deed of the establishment is technically in the name of 200 plus people.
Oh shit.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Wow.
So I'm just going to tell you the story about the hotel in Newark because I have a newspaper clipping of.
Oh, I love a good clipping.
So I'm assuming the same thing happened to the Divine Lorraine in Philadelphia, but I don't have any like factual, like I don't
Right.
have a written
Okay.
newspaper to back that up. But in the mid 2000s, I think it was 2005 through 2008, one of those years. But meanwhile, this is 50 plus years later. So how many of those people are actually still alive?
Right.
So they're taking ads out into the newspaper saying, and meanwhile, none of them had their real names. So it's like, Sunshine Moonbeam, please contact us. Happy Tranquility, please contact us.
Oh my god.
So that's why it was sitting there.
That's why.
And they couldn't fucking knock it down. It wasn't because it was historical. It was because they didn't know who the fuck
owned it.
Owned
And
it.
they couldn't knock it down.
So basically,
Wow.
I'm reading this newspaper clipping, and there's 5 people that are presumed alive.
Out of the 200.
Of the 200. Because those are the people that are like, yes, I have a stake in this. I own this. Give it to me so I can give it to my
And we're
family.
also old enough in 1940s to still be alive.
Yes.
In 2005.
2005, early 2000. The people that were still alive, because the county of Essex County, New Jersey, they wanted, it was dilapidated. They wanted somebody to take ownership, pay taxes, claim it as their own, do whatever you want with it. Because if not, we're going to claim it as our own. We're going to claim it as the state's. So it's like they were taking all these ads out in the newspaper, legal ads out in the newspaper saying, these are the people presumed alive. Roll these other 200 people, please come forward. And if you don't come forward by this time, then fuck that. If you don't come forward by this time, we are going to give it to them.
For the record, a door slammed upstairs on the 3rd floor.
So basically, it's like, that's the funny anecdote, which is like, these establishments stood abandoned for years, because it's like, not only are you trying to find the, hundreds of people that have ownership in the property who, first of all, you don't even know who's alive.
Right, Moonbeam.
And they're not going by their birth names. They're going by their cult names, which is like Happy Junior. I'll read them to you later. It's like Happy Junior Smith.
Love that.
Like Moonbeam Sunshine Tranquility.
Love
Loves
that.
all Mary Beth. Crazy shit.
Love.
Is a black fly in your Chardonnay? No, on your, yep. You got a black fly in your Chardonnay.
Okay, love that. Is this Chardonnay?
So yeah, that's why
Right?
that's why
Pinot
it's
Grigio.
sat unused
Pinot Noir,
for
sorry.
years, because nobody know who the fuck to
Give it to, okay.
give it to.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'll show you the news clipping after this. It's super interesting.
Wow.
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 And I would read it, but it's like a lot of legal mumbo jumbo.
So I'm thinking in my head, was it a cult or was it a religion? But the fact
That they were all like happy tranquility.
yeah, I'm leaning
Right.
towards a cult that didn't do awful
Bad
things.
shit.
No, that's the interesting part, which is like they actually played a major role in the civil rights movement.
Yeah, I was gonna say they
They really did a lot for Philadelphia.
Thank
they
you,
were
Father Divine.
They were the first desegregated hotel in the entire country.
Wow.
Beautiful, good nature, love, joy, Eve, victory, grateful love,
Victoria.
sincere determination, Junior.
Me.
Wait, okay, but Victoria Justice. Are we not going to talk about how that's a fucking cult name?
True.
These are the sole surviving grantees, and therefore are the owners of a certain property known as the Riviera Hotel on 169 Clinton Avenue, Newark, New Jersey.
Well,
The named defendants listed above have been joined because they were named on the original deed and are believed to be deceased. And before this, they listed all hundreds of members, like Peter Faithful.
Love.
what would your name be?
Deal with it. I don't know. It's Widbit, because you could translate it to deal with it.
And that is a story of Father Divine and the Divine Lorraine in Philadelphia.
I love a good cult.
Love that.
In
Wow.
the
okay.
neighborhood.
I guess I'm up.
I guess you're up. I think it's crazy because people can now live in that building.
And it's now
Right.
condominiums. EB Realty condominiums.
They're
I'm pretty
kind
sure.
of expensive.
Lauren lived there. Lauren we work with. She lived in that
I
building.
want to go. Can we go? Befriend her.
Remember?
Friend
She
her.
already moved out.
Sarah's got a cult for us, baby.
This is really long. Okay. So it all started in 1977 at a retreat. So pay attention. This is a retreat. This is not like where the cult is.
Okay, you
It's
have my
just-
attention.
It was just a retreat
Got it.
in California, hosted by a woman named Maizie Sati Bhavagadi, also known as the Guru. She refers to herself as the Guru. I'll get into where she got this name from in a second. So in front of hundreds of followers who claimed Ma knew the secret to life, she claims, this is a quote, "When Christ first came to me, When I anxiously waited for him to appear, afraid that he would, and more afraid he wouldn't, I turned on every light in my house. When he appeared then, my house looked dark. To his brightness, the house looked dark. She paused. But, she says, the guru is greater than God. Flesh man knows the guru you can see and touch and feel. God, unless you're perfect, you cannot. The guru is greater than God.
Now, what was she sipping that night?
So this phrase would be repeated for decades by hundreds of Ma's followers as a mantra of life until her death in 2013.
Where is she based out of?
Florida.
Okay.
That's where they called it the ranch. At an isolated Florida ranch near Sebastian, 20 miles north of Vero Beach, she latched onto the minds of hundreds who abandoned homes and families to worship her like a deity. They formed what would become the Kashi Ashram. And she says, I'm the breath. I am inside you.
Okay.
Tee.
Right. Like, I wish you would.
Her audiences included people like Pope John II, the Dalai Lama, and she also lured in high-profile fans like Julia Roberts and folk singer Arlo Guthrie. This woman was a manipulative genius.
Okay.
There were also stories of cruelty in the cult. 8 former followers interviewed by the New York Times say Kashi members were beaten for disobedience or spiritual cleansing. A man said he dunked his head into a gallon of red paint because Ma had asked him to. Teenagers with masks over their heads reportedly beat a 13-year-old boy with rocks inside of socks because he had made Ma angry. I'll get into that in a second.
Okay.
So they refer to it as a church.
As most do. Okay, this is not a cult. It's a church.
So,
it's a religious gathering. We're here to support each other.
Right.
It's fine.
In the church's 35 years of experience, people claimed abuse such as beatings, pedophilia, forgery of official documents, extortion by Ma. According to the New York Times, never before disclosed court filings and psychological studies and police records, Kashi Ashram fits every criteria of a destructive cult, says Rick Ross, a nationally recognized...
Ricky Rose.
No, this was a authority based in New Jersey.
Look at how we both perked up when she was like Rick Ross.
I perked up when I saw it. I was like, and she quotes, "It was the most defying element of a cult in a charismatic leader." So, they all have the same type of characteristics. Yeah. So, let's start the story of Joyce Green, which is Ma.
Guru.
Yes. Jewish teenager Joyce Green was at Coney Island one day. Every night as the sun set, the 16-year-old returned to her family's basement apartment in Brooklyn. One day at the beach, a confident, olive-skinned kid named Sal D4 came up to Joyce.
Did you just say his name was Salad?
Sal. So basically he comes up to her. He thinks she's beautiful. She had long black hair. Her teeth were very white. He loved that.
She got them crust white strips.
Everybody's got a type.
So,
white teeth, let me see.
They hit it off. They get married a year later. But they were 17, so.
Oh, they were both 17?
That's
okay,
legal?
Young love. It's perfect. You can get married at 17.
Yeah.
Oh, with a consenting
Courtney
adult.
Stodden got married. I don't remember what fucking year. You know who Courtney Stodden is?
No.
You know who Courtney Stodden is?
Who that?
She blocked me on Twitter and Instagram.
She was on,
So many people blocked you.
Celebrity Couples.
I didn't do anything wrong to her. I sent her a funny meme.
She was like,
and it
no
public.
negativity in my life.
She responded and she was like, fuck you, and then blocked me on everything. And I was like, ew. I don't want your fake boobies anyway, but I did.
For real.
Courtney Stodden. If you guys follow Courtney Stodden, can you guys
doesn't look good anymore.
Ask her to unblock me?
Unblock me, bitch.
Back to cults.
So basically, Joyce was poor. Sal says that he could tell by her clothes, and her dad was a loser.
But she had nice teeth. Right.
So they got married a year later. They started life in Brooklyn with 3 children. Lasagna dinners at 6 p.m. sharp. Sundays with the relatives. A very,
Did they call pasta sauce gravy?
No.
What? Who
Yes,
does
they
that?
did. an
it
Italian
didn't say
family. I
that.
come from an Italian family. And if you call it sauce,
Italian.
my mom will freak out if you call it sauce.
Gravy.
It's gravy.
So Saul says that even at a young age, his wife showed a very bad temperament, and he later divorced her. She gained weight easily, having several bouts of depression. He drove a Coca-Cola route.
So he divorced her because she was moody and she gained weight?
Yeah. So one day while Green was eating, he looked up at her with disgust and said, "You should eat a little."
Okay.
He was being sarcastic.
I got the sarcasm. I'm just rolling my eyes.
So the future Ma never forgot that comment. She swore to drop the pounds and subscribe to a new cultural lifestyle.
Is the Atkins diet a cult?
No.
Is Jenny Craig a cult leader?
That's a hot
This
take.
is how it started.
Jenny Craig is a cult leader.
It all started with this fucking yoga. So she got some yoga
Frugal
mats,
Nick.
incense, and books of meditation and ditched her neighborhood friends and locked herself inside the downstairs bathroom. Then, one night, in the middle of the night, the strange smoke and sound started coming from a doorway crack. Within weeks, Joyce Green vanished, and Saul lost his wife to all things yoga.
Wait, what year is this?
I was saying the same thing.
Let's see.
I'm trying to put a hairstyle.
I don't think
I just want to know how much hairspray we're dealing with here.
I don't think it said. It doesn't say.
That's okay. But Julia Roberts was drawn in by her, so it has to be somewhere along the lines of maybe late 80s at the height of her.
No, because this is when she was younger.
Okay.
So let's
So if
say
she's 17-ish. Okay, let's just make up a year. This is the podcast?
1973.
Okay. I was going to say 1975.
There's some weird shit going on then.
Right.
So hippies started flooding their Brooklyn home, talking about meditation and spirituality. Saul says he couldn't believe it. They gushed over his wife, cried in her presence, and did anything she asked.
Out of nowhere?
Mm-hmm. And Saul said that she controlled those people. They were all super rich kids who were dysfunctional, and they would go to her for guidance. Even today, after decades of analyzing these chaotic months in 1973, he can't comprehend his wife's sudden transformation or what happened next.
This went 0 to 100 really
Oh,
fucking
this
quick.
story, just wait, it gets worse. After
Dude,
this, it plunges into some deep, dark shit.
She took a fucking yoga class and found her goddamn self.
Her chakras were way too aligned.
Hello.
Right, she was like, "I'm too powerful." You know? So one night, her husband heard a loud crash, and there was a future guru parading around the house, saying she had a vision of God, and wounds appeared on her hands, and there was blood on her pajamas. Her husband took the clothing to the dry cleaners, and later found out it was like theatrical blood.
The what?
Theatrical
blood.
fake blood.
Bitch.
Baker.
Do you know how sticky that shit is?
So, word traveled about this. Joyce Green sat in basements and parks across the city delivering night-long sermons. This is a quote from Joyce. She thought, "Get skinny with Christ or fat without him. I lost 65 pounds on that Christ diet."
Whoa! What? What the fuck? Did she eat a Bible? Because that's only fiber. What the fuck? Wait, I was not expecting her to say that. So this is literally Jenny Craig.
Basically, but it gets worse.
Oh my god.
But wait, there's more.
So it started. Okay, this
It
is.
all started with yoga. All because her fucking husband told her to lose weight.
I am joining this cult.
He drove her. No, you're not. Just wait.
Okay.
So, Christ wouldn't be the only appearance. In the same year, she claimed she had visions of a deceased bald Indian guru named Neem Karoli Baba, who gave her the name Maizie Sati Bhagavati. So, her following included college-age kids, mostly convinced Christ had picked this Jewish housewife from poverty to teach all ways of God.
Can we have the Real Housewives of the cult era? Because the Real Housewives of cult leaders.
True.
Yo.
So in 1975, Ma left her two eldest children, Jimmy and Denise, and her husband, who filed for divorce. And her son Jimmy was really sad over the abandonment of his mother, and those feelings would be with him for the rest of his life. The guru, of course, kept her youngest, Molly. This name was changed to protect her actual identity. In 1976, Ma left New York for a huge plot of grass in an Indian River County in Florida. So this is when they moved to the ranch.
Right.
1976.
Okay.
Without warning, she ordered marriages between devotees who barely knew each other. This is a quote. Ma married Chandra and Madhava, I'm guessing she also named them, on spur of the moment last Sunday. One follower named Lynn Denmore.
Was this a white bitch?
Yes.
Yeah, it sounds like a white bitch
She was
trying
Jewish.
to be. Okay.
She was a Jewish girl from Brooklyn in 1970.
Love
whatever.
I'm picturing Fran Drescher.
You.
We saw Fran Drescher. Sarah and I were
Where?
literally
At Pride of all places. That's
okay, wait.
perfect.
Can we talk about how I fucking manifested it? Because maybe 3 days prior, we didn't know, and I texted Sarah and I texted he who should not be named, and I was just like, if
Did
I
he
want,
come with us?
yeah, I was like, I want to meet somebody before I die, and we got in some conversation, and I was just like, I want to see Fran Drescher.
You
I want
spoke
to
it
meet
into
her.
existence.
He sure did.
And she fucking was there, and
In Philly?
were we not 3 feet away from her?
We
Where
were,
the
we
fuck
were right
in
there.
Philly?
We were
It was years
Penn's
ago.
Landing.
It was
That,
maybe
that stage thing.
2014,
Really?
2015,
20.
15. Let's talk about cults, baby. Let's talk about cults, baby.
So basically, the follower Lynn Denmore scribbled into a journal on June 5th, 1981. She writes, "They seem really happy about it." That's it.
Amazing.
End quote.
So weeks afterward, on June 22nd, she writes again. She doesn't care how happy she makes us or how miserable she makes us. So when she says they seem really happy about it, she was talking about Ma.
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is they like Ma's just they, or like Ma and her?
She has like branches of people who do
Yeah.
certain things.
She has like her second hand and like all those people.
And like a spokesperson. So like Ajani, spokesperson for the Kashi Ashram, denies that Ma arranged marriages or that Kashi members worshipped her. She quotes, "I never heard anything like that. People married when people wanted. No forced marriages ever happened."
So
Okay.
So what happens when like this yoga meeting goes one meeting too far? It's just like, hey, okay, like think about how that starts. It's just like, all right, so let's do this yoga class, and then it's like, all right, let's do like, here's this. If you guys want to stay the extra 5 minutes, you guys can go if you want, but like if you want to stay the extra 5 minutes, I'm gonna be talking about this diet. So like a couple people say an extra 5 minutes, right?
I don't think.
And then, but then she goes from that and she's just like, okay, if you guys want to like talk about hooking up, maybe marriages, maybe stay an extra 5 minutes after the class. Like,
I think the yoga class prompt her to like get the leadership.
The original following. Dude, because I mean, I take yoga that when you get like one of those experiences, like there are people like, have you ever heard of Bikram yoga?
no, I've heard of goat yoga where you do yoga with
That
goats.
one guy from Extra Chef, his name is Bikram. That's the only thing I've heard of
So
it.
hot yoga, the idea of hot yoga originated from Bikram yoga. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on this or whatever, but he was like pretty much like started like a cult in the yoga industry, and he was super I'm pretty sure he molested and raped a lot of women.
Wow, that's
Oh, wow.
fucked up.
Yeah, because he was like, people had trusted him so much because like yoga is such a spiritual.
I was just gonna say it's a very and you're in a
It's-
very vulnerable,
Yeah.
open state where you're.
Yeah, you've taken a yoga class before. It's just, like,
I've taken a
it,
couple.
Like if like there are yoga classes where you feel like really like you cry, like you feel.
Yeah,
If you've
and
never cried during vinyasa or shavasana, then
Say that, honey.
say that.
Because especially if you're aligning your chakras, it's like the organs in your body that represent different emotions.
Yeah, 'cause
it's
it's
very
like-
real because
yeah.
you pop open a spot that you didn't know existed or that had emotions
healing.
harboring on you.
Because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, yes, yoga is very physical, but it's also very healing and spiritual. So it's like people are coming into it in like a vulnerable spot, and people were like latching on to him because he was so
That's
he had such a magnetism about him.
right.
And so Bikram yoga, hot yoga, which was his whole like, thing. like he was eventually like he fled to the high seas or whatever, so he wouldn't get caught. They did a thing about it on like 2020.
That's fucked up.
Or something.
But I was gonna say this sounds similar. I mean, besides the weight loss, but the spiritual and the yoga aspect of it sounds very, very similar to. And I know I have listeners who are into like Wicca, who know who I'm about to say, but it's very similar to Teal Swan,
What's
who
that?
I've quoted her before in my fun facts, but it's like she's controversial and she's a very
She's like a
she's a spiritual leader who if you Google her, it's very 50-50 on the fence.
which is how they were with Ma.
I can see how people were. Okay.
That's how they were with Father Divine.
All right, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. Make your own assumptions. Anyway,
Because
maybe
it's
I'll
like
edit it out.
we're like teetering on the line of like spirituality, religion,
or
cults,
mastermind trying to take advantage of
mastermind
people.
manipulation. So it's like
It's a
like a
fine-
sensitive subject.
a fine
It's
fucking line.
Yeah, it's a fine line.
Yeah.
Blurred lines. Anyway, carry on, girl.
But wait, just to set the record straight, I'm not saying she is, but I'm also not saying she isn't
Take it for what it is.
a
Yeah, you decide.
a cult leader. Teal Swan. Also, she could follow me back on Instagram if she would like to.
That'd be nice.
Thank you.
So, some people quote, when you were around her, it felt like you were being stoned. The energy that surrounded her made you feel that way.
In a bad way or a good way?
I think stoned as in like actually not like smoking, like stoned as in like being,
Oh, I thought stoned as in like I'm throwing stones at you and I'm gonna kill you.
that's what I think it might be.
Like harsh.
Wait, hold on. Say that one more time.
Yeah,
She
stoned
said
as in,
when
like,
you were
high?
around her, it made you feel...
Oh, then yeah, it probably is stoned like high.
Yeah. So, court records and in-depth interviews reveal just one theme: obsession. So, on the rant, Ma was very powerful, but her emotions were extreme.
Of course.
Followers either loved her and didn't want to abandon her and at a fault, or they came to hate her so much that it consumed them.
This kind of reminds me of the episode of The Office when Robert California comes in and Jim is like, you don't want him to single in on you, but like you do at the same
It
time.
reminds me of my job.
Ooh, there it is.
Big yikes.
So, former followers recalled Ma's sudden craze on children after she had several miscarriages with her new husband, So Si-Chu. Roseanne Henry is a former ashram resident who's now a psychologist in Colorado. She quotes, "My husband and I wanted to have a child in 1981, but we had to ask permission, so they were in the cult."
And they had to ask permission to have kids.
Yes.
All right.
How many people are living with like in this cult?
It doesn't really say.
And where was this again?
Florida.
Okay.
So before she entered labor on October 21st, 1981, Henry says she dyed her hair blonde to impersonate Ma. She even signed the guru's name on the daughter's birth certificate. After she was wheeled out of Jackson Memorial Hospital, carrying her baby, she gave her baby to a van full of Kashi followers. Without hesitation, she handed her daughter over and was basically brought back to the ranch. So Henry testified to all this in court, adding she did this because she believed that Ma was the Divine Mother. In all, 4 mothers from 1978 to 1982 signed Ma's name to the birth certificate.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. So this Ma type, she was just like, you're all my surrogates. I want little babies because I can't. She's just snatched. That's like there's this like local like folklore, not local folklore, but like
Have you ever seen the
fairy
movie
tale
The
about that.
Holidays? I feel
No,
like
I
you would
haven't.
really like that. It's like short.
You love that movie.
I'm
It is
obsessed
very
with it. It's a short
Anthology
yeah, so it's like short stories about every holiday, but it's like
with different directors and different stories. So
Yeah.
it's like every holiday has a different story, and it's very abstract.
yeah, that sounds really cool.
It's
but
on
there's
Netflix.
like one, I think it's Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And basically it's like the same type of thing.
I need to watch that.
It's on
The Easter one was like
scary.
that was the one I was most uncomfortable with.
Isn't what's it called? What's that fairy tale? Oh, Rumpelstiltskin.
Oh, right.
Does he? I don't know who Rumpelstiltskin is.
So this was reported by the Palm Beach Post in 1992. Of course, she told Ma told newspapers that she took children to save them from abortion.
Mm-hmm. To save them. Okay.
Another tale came weeks after Henry's child was born, and the night of December 10th. Ma's... What is that?
I'm going to say it's a cat.
Where is the cat?
Stop.
That sounds like it's in the basement.
I'm gonna cry.
So don't know what that was.
That was really fucking scary.
That
I almost
wasn't
cried.
my
That was
cat-
really bad.
My cat was laying at the top of the stairs, so that wasn't
And I
her.
thought she was over there.
I mean, weird shit like that happens.
No, but that was I could cry. That was really scary.
Thank you for validating that.
No,
Like,
I've
I've gotten
I'm an
text-
outsider. Like I'm validating. Like that was like honestly, I've never had like a more paranormal experience than like being in this fucking house.
Hello.
I've gotten text from my cousin, and he's just like, "We can't hear shit. Like, I don't believe you. Pixar, it didn't happen."
I was about to be like, oh my god, this house is gonna be like those movies where like all the cabinets open at the same time, like the lights turn off. I was like, what the fuck? What could that possibly have sounded like to you? Because that was directly
It sounded
above us.
like it.
That was not the neighbor next door.
It sounded like it sounded like digging in the floor.
It sounded like, you know what it sounded like to me? If you know, like that sound when you're taking off the top of a toilet.
Yeah,
If somebody was
dragging it.
putting it on, dragging it on, off, that's exactly what it sounded like to me.
No plumbers here.
Dude, that
Have it be known that we're also the only people here because my brother is.
and the
out.
cat's right next to us. Jesus fucking, why is your cat?
Ma's followers were called into the main house at Kashi for their nightly prayer session.
What do these prayer sessions consist of? Do we know the details of them?
So dozens packed into the room. It was cluttered with urns and statues. Basically, she says that she's married her 14-year-old daughter to this man named Dada Das,
How old was he?
25.
Dude, confidence is key. That's all I gotta say. That's what I'm learning here is like, if you act confident and you somewhat know what you're doing, people will follow you and potentially fear you.
So, at the time, 1990, there was no child abuse at this cult.
None noted.
Yes. So now we're going to get into, remember I told you about the masked men who beat the 13-year-old boy?
Okay.
We're going to get into that.
Amazing.
So on a spring day in 1996, this is a story told by a New York jeweler named Saul Conti. I'm going to call him Conti. So Ma requested that Wang Chung, according to a 2001 police complaint, she said to meet him. She wanted to meet him.
Okay.
Instead, she didn't come. Two masked men grabbed the boy. They plastered duct tape around his mouth and restrained him. Then they whipped him over and over again with a rock, with like rocks and socks, because she ordered them to. So Ma Conti, who was with her, and he was the treasurer, they were outside of her house, and she was excited. He says Wang Chung came out completely bloody. Weeks later, the men took their ninja outfits out again and they beat him again. This time it was in clear sight. Ma watched the violence and with several others, Wang Chung crumbled into fetal position and cried. His face was covered in blood and Ma claimed, "Hit him harder," she said, "hit him harder." So they were a punishment. The boy declined to have sex with a young girl at the ranch.
Ah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god.
And Ma didn't want to hear it. She started calling him a pervert and cursing at him.
He's a pervert? Right. Can you even really like get your rocks off at that age? 13?
No, I did. Woot, woot.
So the kid cried. He was shaking, and Ma enjoyed seeing that.
He's a kid. A kid.
Right.
You shouldn't be having sex at that age.
So the New York Times reached out to Wang Tung to get a statement, and he didn't answer. He now denies the story, and no criminal charges were ever filed. He says the story is made up.
Okay. I would have to do further research to know if it was made up or not.
I don't think it was made up. I think that
He was trying to protect himself.
I think that's very, very,
It's
that's very possible.
trauma that he just doesn't want.
I 100% think that's true, but it's possible that it was made up. But I totally see where you're coming from, that there's reason why he would say it was made up. I see that.
He said that I stupidly said I was beaten by people here, which is a lie.
Okay, now it sounds like someone coerced him out of it. Sorry, I thought that the lie was coming from word of mouth from other people, but so he admitted to that,
And then he
or he
backtracked on
confessed it, and then he was.
And then he said,
backtracking.
"Oh, just
Okay.
kidding," because she probably threatened him.
Okay, so now I do.
Well, I think after she beat him, he probably knew, like, oh shit, this is real. I really like can't
Right.
like come out and like say anything. I need to do whatever she says.
Right.
So Conti wasn't the only one to bring allegations against Ma and the church. Soon it wasn't clear anymore whether the camp began for a quest of God or it was for something much darker. So during the 1990s and early 2000s, 2 dozen former Kashi residents were allegedly abused, ranging from psychological control to extortion to physical violence against both adults and children. So here kind of like the breakdown of what happened. So Ma either personally struck the followers or ordered them to be beaten. This is according to 8 former members interviewed by the New York Times. Police were twice called to take children away from Ma.
Do you know how many children, like, in the time were given to her to raise? Did she raise? No, it was like communal raising, but it was in her name. I think
she did, but I think so she was higher up. I think there was like communal for that, and then like the followers.
And she had 2 kids of her own
that she left.
Just, like, that she just completely left.
I don't think I put this in here, but her son James, the one that like was like really like sad, he ended up committing suicide. Ma demanded money from followers. 13 former residents allegedly quoted, "Ma conspired to defraud me of all of my inheritance." She severely burned a man with a candle in 1981 to punish him for sexually molesting a child. Which is weird because she ordered people to molest children.
She seems very problematic.
And then,
the least.
She molested the boy and made him walk around naked in front of 50 people. And she painted his penis black with a magic marker.
What the fuck? Wait, was she just trying to start her own, like, colony? Like,
I guess
colony
so.
Where everybody's, like, that is some crazy type of, like, psychopath, which is like control, like people that love control, that are like,
well, I think it's because her husband.
But she's just trying to push it to see how far can she go. Right. Like, how much control do I actually have over these people? I'm gonna just play doll with you. It's like, you had Barbie dolls and you're like, you're gonna kiss this one today.
Right.
Yeah. I used to do it with my G.I. Joes. I'd make all my G.I. Joes make out.
So she personally beat 2 children. She slapped one across the face and punched one in the arm. She punched a 2-year-old in the arm. So the spokesperson for the cult denies accusations of abuse and basically blamed it on people that were like unruly and just wanted to like overthrow the cult. In early 1990s, the Palm Beach Post posted an article and they called it Guru Ma, saintly or sinister.
I'm going to go with sinister.
Right. Remember Roseanne Henry, who got her baby taken away?
Yes, but I also remember Roseanne Barr, who's canceled.
Yes, she sure is. So they retrieved her 7-year-old daughter from the ranch. It took a 5-member SWAT team, and this was in 1989.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm. They were like, we want our daughter back.
A SWAT team.
A SWAT team. So after the child was returned to the Henry's home, the girl believed that Ma was a god and prayed to her at the dinner table.
The daughter?
Right. According to State Health and Rehabilitation Services, retired detective Mary Shelley. Weird.
Frankenstein.
She ordered the raid to remove the girl.
No relation, right?
Huh?
No relation. Okay, that's just her name.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this was in 1989. I don't know.
Yeah, Mary Shelley was way before 1989, baby girl.
So she declined to comment about the Kashi members, saying these are some very vindictive individuals. After Henry took back her daughter, Ma was outraged. Conti says she was angry that the kid was taken from her. He testified in 2001 saying she was trying to scheme all ways to try to steal her back. In the following months, she would send bikes and toy houses to this house to try to win the girl back.
Amazing. Not manipulative at all.
Do you know what this Ma was preaching? Like when we talked before on the other podcast, he was preaching like free sex, just be sexually explorative. And
They
stuff.
never really say.
And this woman kind of is preaching like.
I feel like sometimes a lot of them just like don't quite say definitively.
Yeah.
Because with mine before, it was like the only thing we really knew, or at least that I know from research, was that they used reincarnation as a catalyst to murder people. But that was like it. Like we don't know what happened behind the four walls, and I feel like you wouldn't know unless you went there.
But if you're like, if it's dealing with like the molestation of like little kids, then it's a sex cult.
It could very
Anyway.
So, Ma was also a person of service. At the height of the AIDS scare, she campaigned gay rights.
Convenient.
She posted graphic pictures of AIDS victims at Pope John II in 1993. 3 years later, she delivered a plea for equality at the Washington Memorial.
Don't come with that energy now. Don't fake it.
She cared for the sick and dying at local hospitals.
You're not Mother Teresa.
And hunters looked to her for support.
Okay, but...
So on Friday night in April 2013, she died in her bed at the age of 71 from cancer. She wanted to leave the body on the ranch.
Just leave it there.
Just fucking leave it there, you ass dick. I called her an ass dick. I don't know if that was an insult.
I called somebody a figglenick before.
Love that.
Here for it.
So the folk singer Arlo Guthrie says, I've met a lot of people that were very important, but I can honestly say no one I've ever met in my entire life was as funny as
Arlo
sincere.
Guthrie, not Woody Guthrie?
No, Arlo Guthrie.
Yeah, he said that she was courageous and unapologetic. Actress Julia Roberts was next. She had discovered Ma while preparing for her role in Eat, Pray, Love. She said, there are a few people in one's life that create only the warmest and most powerful positive impact imaginable. She was one of those people to me and my family.
She's a charmer.
Eat, Pray, Love.
But you know how narcissists are, like, whatever way that they want people to perceive them, they give that.
Yeah.
That's why, like, a lot of people,
charmer.
like...
Super manipulative.
A lot of, like, emotional abuse survivors, they all, like, go into trauma because it's, like, they're not the same people. The narcissistic, they're not the same people. Everyone loves them, but they're treating this other person, like, one-off. So it's, like, it confuses them and it throws them into, like, this fucking crazy thing. So, basically, now after Ma's death, her daughter tried to sue the ranch because her daughter was raped by a 25-year-old. And that was the story.
Her biological daughter?
Mm-hmm.
That shit's fucking crazy. That's so sad. That's so sad.
I want to look a picture of this bitch. How do you spell that?
Just look up Jaya. So Jaya.
Oh, I hate her.
I do too.
I just hate everything about her.
I hate her because I know what she did. Oh, is this?
She just looks like she would do something like that.
How come if you look up Kashi Ashram, Why are they all at like a salad bar? Like what? She's eating a giant 3-tiered cake. Do you see this?
Let me see that.
She's eating a 3-tiered cake. She's doing a splits on the dick. And wait, I just saw one. People at a salad bar. It's like pictures of people at salad bars.
I mean, the cult's gotta eat somehow.
And well, they did start with that diet. That Jesus Christ diet.
So are they still, is it still a thing today?
Yep, it's still
Kashi.org, not sponsored. But if you'd like to, we just talked shit on your founder. It says,
They're gonna come for us.
Kashi Ashram is an interfaith spiritual community based on kindness, compassion, and service, embracing the sacred practices of many traditions. All right.
Hey, but she had straight white teeth, though.
Do you have a fun fact or a tweet of the week or both?
I have both this time.
Oh.
So this is by @Sheila. Use your 9 to 5 to fund your dreams.
Use your 9 to 5 to fund your dreams.
That was the tweet.
Love that.
Space is completely silent.
I don't believe that for a damn second. No.
It says there is no atmosphere in space, which means the sound has no medium or way to travel.
If an atmosphere falls and no one's there to hear it.
Did it fall?
We're all going to die one day, so nothing you do matters. So
that's my fun fact.
Drink
wine,
a lot
of water.
Drink wine and be merry. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you, Maizie, for being a guest on our second episode in a row. If you'd like to support the show, go to patreon.com/esoteric oddities. If you'd like bonus episodes every other week for just $5 or more. We also do other content that's on there. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're actually revamping our Facebook. Just saying. Fun shit. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Give us 5 stars.
Bye.
Bye.